Yeah, we're going to cover an instance of someone who is a high-paying coder within the tech industry, getting a salary of 200,000 and above, and they were just recording a short vlog, a short video about their life, and on that day they happened to get fired from their job. So it shows you how unstable the job market is, how to deal with the layoffs, how to deal with these manipulative lying companies, and how to plan for your future in the best way ahead. So let's start with a brief overview of how he actually was working this job, and he actually moved to a remote location to work from home in a much lower cost of living friendly neighborhood based on the job that he was working. And eventually this job was, the rug was pulled from up under him. He lost this job, he lost the stability in his life, and it really led to some bad circumstances. So this is how you can plan ahead for your career.
Tell by my surroundings, you probably can't yet. I am no longer in California. I am here in Las Vegas now, but man, life is good. I'm back here with my family, like I said I would in my last video, which is pretty amazing. So, okay boy, I know the sun's bright, but say what's up. Bro, turn your head. All right, let's go back to the house. I got a code, man. I gotta go back to work.
So one thing just to focus on him briefly here is, see, when you have job stability, which no one seems to have right now, and you can work remotely, it's really a life-changing experience, because the majority of your time in your day, you can spend in a way you want to spend it, whether it's spending time in nature, going for a walk with your dog, working from home at your own pace. You can live a decent, quiet life, which was much more affordable because he moved from California, which is high-cost tech industry location, to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is lower tax, lower living costs. He's living more in a lower cost of living location. So he can work hard and achieve his goals this way. Now, this is a good setup. This is the start of the story. Things do take a turn for the worst, as you'll see in a few moments. But it's important to mention here how he was working hard. And this is a message that I share throughout my videos, is to stop working hard. Obviously, you got to do your job. Doesn't mean you can just do no work and get paid. But if you just really analyze at work, to what extent could you reduce your effort? For some people, you could probably get away with coming into the office a bit later, leaving a bit earlier, or spending a bit longer doing your lunch break, going to the gym in the middle of the day, going for a coffee break, going for a reading break, things like that. Whatever works for you. Sometimes you could go to a meditation room. Some companies have that. So all these little loopholes you can exploit. Now, if you're working from home, just looking at that time lapse you just saw, he's working quite hard for a job that he's just about to get fired from, right? So, he mentions working 10 to 12 hours work days. Really think carefully about putting in extra effort, unless it's developing skills that are going to allow you to make more money in the long term on your own, right? Because otherwise, if you're exploiting yourself, I don't know how hard he's working here, but it looks like it's quite intense. What you want to do is figure out how much effort you can put in at your job without getting fired, and getting a decent pay, or keeping your job stable and not getting fired, and how you could maybe slowly climb the corporate ladder with the least amount of effort possible. And you can do little things like this. The way to do it is, there's a word called presenteeism, as in being present at work, presenteeism. So you could do things where you slow pace, but you speak a lot within the meeting. So it looks like you're high energy and super invested in the work. And that's what a trick a lot of people use. They might be completely dumb, completely average at doing the work, but they speak a lot in the meetings. They make sure they're seen, they improve their visibility at work. And that's how they keep a stable job, be the manager's favorite, because they seem like they're smart and on the ball, even when it comes to when they go back to their desk, they're not doing a lot of work. Other things to do would be to drag out projects. If you're working on a project and you want to buy yourself time so you can work at a slower pace and it's better for your health, your physical and mental health, then you can drag out projects. There's all sort of tricks that you can learn, and I cover this in my career advice service. If you're interested, you can reach out to me. So let's continue with this video and learn more from his experience.
Say, man. Yeah, I was laid off. A company that I was really honestly hoping that I'd stay that for a couple of years. Yeah, it sucks. I don't know what else to say. I don't know how else to get to this topic. Like, how do you just say you got laid off? I'm just gonna go straight into it. It sucks, man. Not just because it was like a dream job to be able to just move up in this industry as a developer, but the culture and the relationships that I built has been awesome, man. I'm gonna miss those guys a lot. What's really interesting about the day I got laid off, by the way, is...
So we're going to go through some of the interesting parts about the day he's been laid off and how that was structured. But what's interesting here first is that He worked for 4 years at a company. He became quite emotionally invested on the people he was working with. He worked to move up and work remote. He mentioned some good people and good relationships. There's nothing wrong with building healthy relationships with co-workers and working quite professionally with people. But you just need to be careful of not getting too emotionally invested here, because he appears to be kind of emotional and crying. Is that your job sees you as disposable, as he learned the hard way here. So you shouldn't be too invested in it. I'm very detached from the relationships at work. I focus on getting the work done and being professional. But I mean, these people couldn't care less about me, and I couldn't care less about them. Because when you're in an office, you might feel like, oh, you know your co-workers, things like that. They're complete strangers. They couldn't care less. If you go broke tomorrow, your co-worker's not going to help you. If you lose your job tomorrow, your co-worker's not going to give you a 1 month's pay or anything like that to help you, right? So it's worthwhile looking out for these type of instances and making sure you don't get caught up on this. And one thing that we'll cover is that his manager starts playing games with him, right? His manager that he said was good, that he had a good relationship with, his manager avoids their weekly catch-up meetings where they'll talk about the work. And then his manager starts putting him in touch with, HR to attend certain meetings that would lead to his layoff. So you think you might miss your co-workers, but they're not going to miss you. You might be like, yeah, I'm getting on well with my manager, my co-workers, but they might be putting on a complete act, which is being professional these days. And they see you as disposable, and they see you as a bit of an idiot if you're like too friendly and too invested in the work, and they're not.
I think of my camera, because usually on this day, Thursday morning, I actually have a one-to-one video meeting with my boss, the CTO, Jake. And during our one-to-ones, we usually go through the tickets I went through, how I'm doing, what I'm struggling with, what I might need help with. Sometimes I go over my code and help me with things that I am having a hard time creating or solving, or help clarify things that I don't understand yet, because they were actually transitioning me to help me actually do more things in regards to back-end development, which is nice, working with databases, working with our CMS, which is pretty cool. But he actually didn't show up to the meeting that morning. And I was a little weirded out by that, right? And the first thing that came to my mind was, maybe I'm gonna get laid off.
Normally you can sense it when you're gonna get laid off. Also, you can see here how, as I say, his manager's being quite cowardly, right? Normally, you're told, if you listen to these self-improvement influencers, Jocko Willink, extreme ownership, rules of leadership, things like that. All of these things involve accountability and ownership and being comfortable with confrontation in difficult circumstances. These are the type of things you're taught through corporate training and things like that. But in reality, managers often act like complete weasels, particularly in the corporate environment. It's very slimy, greasy, fake nice type of environment. So they'll avoid conflict. Your manager, all managers would have known that you're going to be laid off, 3-6 months in advance. But they'll continue playing nice with you like everything's normal for 3 to 6 months. And then on the day you're going to be fired, they're just going to tell you the day of the firing. Your manager might not even tell you. It'll be HR who will break the news to you. And then your manager might be sitting there silently, and they've known about it for 3 to 6 months, and they haven't even let you know so you can prepare to leave, right? So these are the type of things you need to be aware of. Don't get too friendly with your manager. Don't get friendly with co-workers. Really try to read in between the lines. That's all I try to do in the corporate environment, is try to read in between the lines. Can I understand what is being said to me versus what is being implied? If they're going in a particular direction, how could it impact me? That's what you need to do in the corporate environment. Don't worry about being friends with your manager and things like that.
Got 2 big campaigns coming. We seem like we're doing well now. We have this new insider plan that we launched where you don't see any more ads on our website no more if you pay $5 a month. A lot of people are signing up, which is great. So many good news. And then he said that, we just want everyone to know that we don't see any more people getting laid off for the foreseeable future, or at least for a while now. And when you hear that, you're thinking, all right, so that probably means maybe a couple months, at least, hopefully if things go well, or hopefully for the rest of the year. Because why would you tell your employees that during COVID-19, right? So I bought these headphones because I want to be able to focus at work that much more better. And now I'm starting to code 10 hours a day, or sometimes I work 12 hours straight. No one told me to, but I just really enjoyed what I was doing at the company, man. I loved what I did for a living, especially what I was doing there, right?
So there's an important point here. See, he wants to be overly invested in the role, right? I'm not knocking the guy. He's making a lot of money compared to most jobs. He seems to enjoy his job and be highly skilled. But if you want to do more things and grow in the role, I wouldn't say you would want to grow in the job role. You want to grow in your career and grow in your professional reputation. What I mean by that is you want to maybe learn more coding languages, become quite good at your job, so you can leverage that to earn even more money at the company or at another company. Don't become too attached to the company, become more attached to your career growth and your earning potential. So what he's mentioning here is that before that HR meeting, like a few days before that, 5-6 days before that, his manager, who's quite senior, a C-level executive, they were lying. The big boss was essentially lying and telling you everything's okay, we're growing, we're doing these new business projects, we're going to make more money, people aren't going to be getting laid off, don't worry about that. And they're completely ruthless and heartless, and they're lying to you because if you're going to be put up for a layoff, like I say, they know many months in advance. They don't just figure it out that week and be like, we need to fire, in this case, Chris, or fire you or me or anyone. They know, right? So when you dedicate extra time, you overinvest yourself in the job, and then they pull the rug from up under you, it's just not worth it, investing extra time and energy into a job when this could happen at any moment, even if you're a good working employee. And sometimes there are no signs. If the senior management saying, well, we're not really going to fire anyone, and then a week later they do.
Woke up to a message from my boss asking if he could meet for a couple minutes. And I was like, oh shoot, my bad. And I figured he wanted to meet at that time because we didn't have our one-on-one meeting that morning, right? And so I tell him, sorry, my bad, I was away from the computer, I was taking a nap. And then he said, all right, we'll be on in 10 minutes. And so he sends me a link, and I go and I open a link. It's Google Chat. When you go on a video chat conference call, and you click on a link, and before you actually enter it, after you click on a link, you're able to see who's actually in the chat room, and then you can configure your video settings and your audio settings. And what I noticed was that it wasn't just my boss in the chat room, and I saw it was also our lawyer. And right when I saw that, right before I even clicked join to officially join the video.
So this is what I mean, right? So if a boss wants to randomly have a meeting with you, sometimes it could be a quick question, but your boss, your lawyer, or your HR at your company, that means you're going to be fired, essentially. I mean, he mentions here in one of these clips that, he was taking a bit of a break from work, taking a nap. Firstly, you should never tell your manager you're taking a nap when you're working from home. They're just not going to respect you for that. You can just say, oh, you had an internet issue, or you were, doing a chore like collecting a family member from school, a nephew from school, a child from school. Those type of things are good excuses where it can't really be used against you. But just be careful, in terms of all the early signs of that layoff coming up, whether it's a manager meeting, a HR meeting, things like that.
Right. Was it? So I go in there. My boss immediately says, Chris, we have some bad news to tell you. And right when he said that, my heart completely sunk because I knew it was coming already. He said, due to COVID-19 and etc., that they're gonna have to let me go. And they said it wasn't because of performance issues, and I hope it wasn't because I worked my butt off. It was because of COVID-19. And I'm gonna tell you, man, that was hard. I've never been fired from a job. I've never been laid off from a job, ever. This was the first time it ever happened. And it was heartbreaking, man, because I really was thinking of, man, I want to stay at this company for years to come. Like, the culture is great, the people are great. And then to hear this, like, I guess you could say my heart kind of shattered because I just enjoyed working here. But as embarrassing as it is, man, I mean, during that call, I couldn't hold back the tears. The whole time they were talking, I had my head down to my webcam. I didn't want to show my face. And then when they finally were finished speaking and it was my turn and I just asked them questions, I couldn't even speak, man.
So this is an important thing, right? So if you're at that late stage where you don't know where you're getting fired until you see the boss or HR in the meeting room, there's probably some early signs that he was missing. And the fact that they should be dropping hints before that. They should be dropping some signs. Management might say there's restructuring coming up, or things like that, right? And it's very manipulative there are in the management roles, that they're not giving you those hints or being able to help you prepare for that. Now, typically, when they're firing you, they can make any excuse. They can say it's your performance. They can say it's during, downsizing the business. They can make any excuse. You never really know what the issue was. And a lot of the times it could be you're just not the manager's favorite and other team members that are more favorably treated compared to you. So they can make any excuse. They don't have to blame it on your performance. You don't really know whether, you did actually something wrong or you didn't, because typically it just is a social thing and it's not necessarily a performance thing. And the important thing is to, as I say, be detached from your job. The fact that he's crying is a bit bothering me in the sense that you shouldn't show weakness, you shouldn't show being too attached to the job. And you should be detached as they are. They just see you as disposable. I doubt his manager was crying. I doubt HR was crying. I doubt the lawyer there was crying. They just saw him as, okay, cool, well, you're going to get laid off and here's the amount of money you'll get, the severance package, the layoff package, and you'll be maybe working here for another month in some cases, and do a bit of extra work, finish up your project, then you'll be asked to leave, right? So if they're detached from you, you should be detached from them. You should focus on your job hunt, save a lot of money, invest as much as you can, plan ahead, and prolonged period of unemployment, as difficult as that is to hear, because the job market is very unstable. You're not treated fairly as an employer, as an employee, particularly if you're of certain demographics. They have all these diversity hiring requirements. If you're Asian or man, in some cases, you're going to be disadvantaged. So just be aware of all these type of biases and that you're going to be dealing with. You're dealing with a very unfair game you've been pushed into in terms of the job market. So, and then when it comes to your lay meeting, I don't have a layoff before, right? And I'm very how it works, so I'm very cold-hearted with them the way they are cold-hearted with me. I don't get into an argument, but I'm just like, okay, what's the severance package? What's the time frame until I'm technically ending my employment contract? It could be 1 to 3 or months or more. What are the legal documents? When you're going to send that? Do you have a specific employment law contact that looks at these documents, or I'll use mine? And then you also have a few other legal contacts that you can reach out to yourself to look through your severance agreement. Make sure you're not signing up to an NDA or anything that you don't technically agree to that could impact maybe your future job opportunities, maybe a non-compete clause where you can't work for other companies. So you should consider, lawsuits, discrimination aspects if you want to pursue an employment legal action against the company. So there's all sorts of things you can focus on, right? So you don't get too caught up in getting emotional. Never be as dejected as this person, and that's real important advice. The company couldn't care less about you. Even if you think they're your co-workers, your friends, and your manager's kind of open and honest with you, they'll lie to you if it benefits them.
It sucks because we were also told that it wouldn't happen. We were told that we were safe, pretty much. Literally just 7 to 10 days prior to Thursday.
So this is what I mean, right? So he was being misled that his job was safe, that other employees' jobs were safe, that the company was growing and it should be fine. And it shows how much of an idiot the company thinks you are. The company thinks you're a complete idiot. They think, okay, we can just lie blatantly to your face. Think about any other instance where you could have this much blatant lying and they'd get away with it. I mean, if you, for example, hire a builder to build something in your home or, fix something, maybe you hire a plumber or electrician, you're not going to be blatantly lying to their face, oh, I'm going to pay you for this job, and then you pay them for 1 hour work instead of 2 hours. This type of stuff only can exist in the corporate environment where people are rewarded, management and people like that are rewarded for behaving in this kind of weasel-like way and manipulative way. So let's keep listening to him.
But I want to let you guys know, I know there are a lot of developers, I know quite a few friends who got let go too. That this is impacting everyone. I mean, no one's safe from this. There's some companies who are, and you're very fortunate. And I thought I was one of them, but I wasn't. So what's gonna happen? What am I planning on doing for the next couple months? I mean, if I get these jobs, I'm gonna take it right away. I don't want to stop coding. I literally breathe code. I love code. It's my life. But if that doesn't work out, I have some friends who literally live off going from contract to contract jobs, and I might do that. Try to have my own handful of recruiters I work with where I can just be a contract worker for multiple companies and make a living that way. You get paid actually a lot more doing that anyway, despite the fact you don't get sick days or paid time off, but I don't really care about that. So what I'll do starting next week is just build a sick ass portfolio.
So this is a key thing. Firstly, if you're getting laid off, typically other people in your industry are getting laid off. It could be a competitive job hunt. That's why it might be a good thing if you are laid off before other people, because that means you can spend your time looking for your next job. A good opportunity when you get your layoff package, your severance package, and you've got several months pay to kind of start your next job hunt, where you can relax, you can reassess, you can focus on your other life goals, whether it's your health, your family, things like that. You can obviously pursue a new job where you're going to get higher pay, look at contract work. Do you want to make more money? And even though that might be a bit more unstable, you might want to do some contract jobs, freelance work where you're getting some money until you can find a permanent role. And in the meantime, take that time to develop new skills. It could be learning new technical skills like coding languages, professional finance qualifications, demonstrating your ability to do your job well and putting that on LinkedIn, whether it's that's a portfolio of your coding ability. descriptions, maybe on finance reports you can write. You're developing your personal brand, improving your LinkedIn profile, and help reinvent your story, improve your CV, make sure it has a consistent narrative about your career growth and where you want to head into your next role. These are all things I can help with through my career advising service. And this will help you move on to better. Now, I've made several transitions in my career from HSBC to Goldman's to Morgan Stanley and things like that. And this is something I can help advise you with through my career coaching service. And the key lesson from here is not to get too attached to, there's a link in description if you want to speak with me about the career advice service for one-on-one advice. But the key advice here is this guy is giving you a good example of how unstable the job market is, how unstable things are, especially if you move from, say, California to Las Vegas on the basis you have a remote job. What are you going to do if you lose that job? Are you going to have to move back from Las Vegas to California? How long is your rent period? Or do you own that house in Las Vegas? Are you going to go and have to, how does that impact your ability to pay rent, pay your mortgage? If you're going to have to live in two locations, essentially, right? How will it impact you in terms of your family life? Your future plans. That's why you should always think about living a minimalist life, leveraging the money you have to save and invest, focusing on how you can be more independent of the system by any means necessary, right? Whether that's freelance work, contract work, things like that. So really try to maneuver through this system the best way you can. So thanks for listening. Career advice, links in description so you can talk directly. 2 recommended videos on your screen right now, and I'll see you next time.